You can't force yourself not to think. You'll only be thinking about not thinking. We all have the ability within ourselves to feel pain without suffering, to cry without suffering. It is simply a matter of acceptance of pain, of troublesome emotions, that allows us to fully experience any emotion with peace. And crying can be a very cathartic release of tension and allow us to heal and process from what we've been holding on to. And we can invite it. We can even enjoy it because it is healing. And we will realize that there is no emotion unbearable. There is no physical pain unbearable because we are at peace no matter what is happening around us. And sometimes, especially for men, we repress our emotions and suppress our feelings. And it is essential to learn to feel without resistance. And this is how we can release our trauma. This is how we can let go of stress that has been causing chronic pain or depression or anxiety. And the more we feel what we feel without resistance, the more we can allow for the ups and downs of life, which will always be changing our circumstance. But we can stay centered and balanced no matter what. Just like running on the treadmill is exhausting, the constant mental noise is exhausting mentally. And we need to be able to give our mind a rest. Otherwise, we develop insomnia. We develop constant stress, constant exhaustion, being drained, because that monkey mind, that grasping and clinging and aimless, incessant thinking is like having someone chit-chatting in your ear 24/7. For some people, sleep is the only break from this. Other people turn to drugs and alcohol to dull and dumb down their senses. And there's really two ways to make that ego just run out of energy and shut the heck up. And you could go live in a cave by yourself. Or you can practice directing your attention to your thoughts and to the present moment. This is really the only way to quiet the thinking mind. You can't force yourself not to think. You'll only be thinking about not thinking. And you can't ignore your thoughts because they'll just get louder and louder until they get the attention they're looking for. It's kind of like when you look at someone and then they realize that they're being looked at. And then they suddenly stand up straight, or they're suddenly on their best behavior. And the mind is just like this. The problem is we are so unfocused and our attention is so scattered that we can't focus on our thoughts for an extended period of time. And that's where the practice comes in. That's where increasing our attention span, increasing our ability to focus through meditation or any kind of extended concentration. And as our mind wanders, we just bring it back to whatever we're focusing on, whether it's our breath, a mantra, our thoughts, or nature, anything we're trying to focus on. And as we bring our attention back, that is training our mind to stay present and focused. Each time we do that, it's not a failure for our mind to wander. It's a victory for us to bring our attention back to our point of focus. And over time, we'll notice our mind is about to begin to wander. And so we can keep it focused before it wanders. And over time, we'll just constantly be present and at peace, aware of the thoughts when they come, and we will let them go without any negativity. And that is how we can quiet and slow down the chaos in our mind. Whenever I have gone through a really stressful situation in life, something is weighing on my mind, I have found it can be in those times when meditation is more difficult, as my thoughts much more easily get drawn to this situation in my life. And in these situations, I find a mantra to be incredibly helpful. It can be Om, it can be Buddha, it can be Jesus, it can be Allah, and anything you just repeat over and over in your mind. Whatever mantra you choose serves as a net to capture the chaotic mind and really subdue it. And it's much easier to focus on one thought than it is to try to be with no thoughts. And especially when your mind is trying to think a million thoughts. So in those situations, starting with a mantra and then maybe moving to your breath or just doing a mantra is incredibly helpful when the mind feels extremely chaotic and you're under a great deal of stress or distraction. And the advantage of using a deity or a real person like the Buddha is to also invite their wisdom in, as that is your focal point, as that is your object of focus. And this becomes like reconnecting with our higher intelligence, our higher wisdom. And it simply allows our inner being to connect with a higher intelligence, because everything happens in our mind. And so instead of focusing on something negative, we're focusing on something very positive. And that is a nice subtle shift. Instead of just using something meaningless, we can use something very meaningful. And again, you don't have to choose something that is faith-based. It can be anything that inspires. And that will help us out of any situation.